Hi there, I'm David Batsoffen and I host Ho Ho Ho, a travel blog called Travel and Things. You see that? It was all very sleight of handish. Now you see it, now you don't. I hope you guys all had a great Christmas. Janet Kleyn has taken time off post her Christmas to join me for the last episode of her wildlife photography chats for December. And today we are talking about photo vehicles versus hides and the etiquette that should be followed while you're in the vehicle. Janet, I hope you had a great Christmas. What did you get?
Well, our family keeps it simple. We do a secret Santa and share a gift. I had sent a letter to Santa, but I'm not sure if it's because of COVID and he didn't get his test in time, but somehow he forgot about the Z series mirrorless camera that I asked for.
Oh, gosh darn. I only got these. I got 3 drums. Parappa pom pom. Little drummer boy. I'm so glad that Christmas is over. Now people, the shopping malls can pack away the Boney M CDs for another year.
Oh, yes.
I'm hoping, and that is the segue to take us into your photo vehicle. I'm hoping 2 things. There is no Boney M on your vehicle.
No music on the vehicle.
Photo vehicles. A lot of reserves, obviously, you go out on a game drive, but the vehicles are not adapted specifically for photographers. They're just your general Toyota Land Cruiser or a Land Rover Discovery of some sort, and you may have a platform or a beanbag to put your camera on, but that's about as far as it goes. Yes. So what have you guys done at Mashati when it comes to dedicated photo vehicles?
Okay, we do have a dedicated photo vehicle, and I'm now just realized I need to find that photo. Give me one second.
Just keep talking while you do it.
I can do that.
So basically, I'll just parappa pom pom while you.
No, I'll rather talk. Where is it? Okay, I'm going to have to find that for you. So, but basically, what the photo vehicle is, instead of having the 3 rows with that accommodates 9 guests, we only have 4 seats. In the middle of the seats, we have 2 lovely big boxes, one per person, where they can put their 600mm or their 200mm lens nicely away, dust-free, rain-free, easy access. We have attachments for the cameras. So we're in the hide. Last week I mentioned that I like beanbags and a lot of flexibility. In the vehicle, we roll more with proper attachments where you know your equipment is well and truly safe and in place. I've got 1 second to draw up this photo. Oh, this is not working for me. I should
multitasking.
Multitasking. I'll come back to that. I will show you a photo vehicle before we leave. So each person, what we've also done is each person has an opportunity to shoot without somebody's head being in their space or anything like that. It's really been designed for optimum photography and not crowded. And then obviously the front seat, anybody that books our photo vehicle gets accompanied by myself or my colleague Aubrey, who are there to assist with settings, that sort of thing.
Okay.
If you want, I do have private photographers, photography groups booking it, and then they don't need me. They've got their own guide, or professionals who don't need me. But certainly a lot of amateurs like to go out with somebody that also just points out shots to them when we're there and reminds them of things, you know, be aware of the backdrop, be aware not to cut off the feet, that sort of thing.
Or the tail for that matter.
Or the tail, or, you know, there's so many things that we can do. And here are the photos I want to show you.
Okay.
It's just 2. I'm going to quickly bring them up. They are in Lightroom, so maybe just go into full screen here. So, multitasking. I'm going to share screen just to give you a quick look at what it is. And
there we go. Because my question was going to be, does the vehicle have a roof on it? And of course it can't, because there are birds that fly above you, or giraffe whose heads are above you.
No. So as you can see, 4 gimbals, 4 cameras shooting through, no problem there. And if we just do a little above view, you've got these lovely this big space over here, which is a box to put all your equipment that you're not using on. Everybody shoots across from each other. It's really a very comfortable experience. I always just say it's like flying first class on safari. Super. So yeah, that's our photo vehicle. For us, the photo vehicle offering, obviously we go with, and then in the middle of the day between drive, either myself or Aubrey, whoever's accompanying you, spend time with the guests going through the photos they've got, doing tutor sessions, whether they want to do post-processing or change settings to, very often I'll utilize that time to help people change to something like back button focus or something that I feel might help them and enhance their photography.
Okay. So when it comes to etiquette on vehicles, I know for myself, when I'm shooting with a long lens, people bouncing around on the vehicle, if you're shooting with a 560 or a 600, and you're trying to do it handheld, you can get a little tetchy, or when people keep touching you on the shoulder going, what are you looking at? What are you looking at? And you want to say you in a hospital bed, but you can't really.
Well, that's probably the big thing, is be aware of, you may not be shooting, but somebody else is.
Yeah.
And yes, as you say, with a long lens, the slightest movement can cause blur, camera shake, that sort of thing. So just sit still. It's often quite tricky for me because I'm in the front of the vehicle and I'm inclined to turn around to see what my guests are doing, see what they're shooting. And I have to be aware to sort of maybe just slowly look over my shoulder.
Put your head on a gimbal, so just your head turns, not your whole body.
I do wish I had a 360 ability. What I do, and I have done, is I put my cell phone onto a selfie stick, and then I will look, and then I'll lift it up and check what they do.
Oh, okay. Another use for a selfie stick.
Yeah. And then, you know, be aware, it's not so much an issue in our photo vehicle because the way it's been set up, you're not leaning forward in that. But I have been out on a normal vehicle, and even if there's only 2 in a row and the animal's on the left and the person on the left sort of really just leans right in forward and the person on the right has no shot. So it's just, you know, it's consideration.
Yeah.
Everything. And sometimes I'll say, all right, get a shot and then give them a turn, or we'll try and position vehicle on both sides, that sort of thing.
And so that's obviously whoever's driving is also aware of angles and lighting and that type of thing, so he will put the vehicle in the best position for both sides of the vehicle.
Yes. So most guides, really, there's so many photographers doing safaris now. I think most guides have an idea, know what they're doing. If you are booking a photo vehicle, whether it's on our reserve or one of the others, and it's coming with the photography guide, I will very often work with our guide that's driving. And it's quite nice because there's a lot of pressure for him. You know, he's got so much happening, and then I can be then say, actually, I'd really like to be down there, or is it possible to move the vehicle that side because the light's going to be better there. We'll chat amongst ourselves very often. I mean, I never underestimate the value of a good guide, where I've said, you know, I want to be there, and he goes, I don't think it's a good idea because that leopard is going to go down to the water now. And then I can say, okay, perfect, let's get down to the water and set up for that shot. You know? So never underestimate your guide. And that's another point I want to make, is people get impatient. They pull into a sighting, and you'll have heard this, and the leopard's there, and they're like, no, not here, move to the right, the sun's not right. But the guide knows that leopard is moving, where he's moving, you know. So often they just pull in and switch the car off, and then we just sit and wait and see and read the behavior. And I've been quite harsh sometimes with telling people, just trust us and be patient. Because they, you know, and then the poor guy gets into a situation where one person's saying, move there, and he starts starting, and what happens is the animal gets tense, and then the animal there's so much value to just pulling in, switching off, sitting quietly, observe, and then make a call of where you want to be, and reduce the movement. And again, the noise in the vehicle.
Well, this is the thing. I've never understood why people go into the bush. supposedly to relax. Yet all they're doing is they tense, they want to be aggressive, they want to make a noise. I mean, I was on a vehicle some years ago with, I'm not going to say who they were, lest they may be watching. And you never know nowadays. But suffice it to say, they drank everything at the Sundowner stop. Everything, whatever was in the cooler box, they drank. And on the way home, they were very, very noisy. They were chatting loudly to each other. And eventually, I asked the guide to stop the vehicle. And I said, right, children, now we're going to play a game. The game is called, let's see how long we can remain quiet. And I said to the guide, switch off the lights. Switch off the lights and let's just sit. The two guys lasted about 3 seconds. I'll give them their due. They did apologize to me the next morning and they said, were we raucous? And I said, you have no idea. I said, you're lucky to be alive and to have made it back in the vehicle, because I was ready to throw both of them off.
Yeah. It is. It's just consideration. You're in the wild, and particularly in a sighting, what you're wanting to do is observe natural behavior and photograph natural behavior. And if you start moving in your seat and talking and shouting, and another thing is, you know, we don't do things to make animals look at us. We have patience with them too. So there's no knocking on the side of the car and waving your hands around, and I don't tolerate that. I hate it. And if you don't get the shot of the animal looking at you, that's also fine. And often there's more in a shot where the animal's not looking at you, because you can see it's very natural. And if you're not shooting, put your camera down and just quietly ignore it and stop worrying about what everybody else is doing.
Exactly. You know, they may get the shot that you don't, that makes the cover of National Geographic, but hey, c'est la vie. We just recently come back, my wife and I, from the coast. We went to look for turtles. We saw nary a turtle. I found turtle tracks and we found one in the water. Lo and behold, this morning, the reserve or the lodge posts a picture of a turtle on a beach right at their front door. Right at their front door.
It happens.
It happens. Hopefully, if hard lockdown doesn't happen again, next year we'll go back in sort of late January, early Feb for the hatchlings to see if I can catch some of those on camera. But otherwise, hey, I got tracks and they didn't.
Yeah. Well, one of the hardest stories like that I have is a client that came out from Australia, and he specifically wanted cheetah cubs and had asked us to let him know. And when the cheetah cubs were born, we emailed him, like, cheetah cubs. And he flew out for those cheetah cubs, literally, and he was there for about, I think, 8 days. And she had her cubs, and then she proceeded to go across the border, and nobody saw her for 8 days. And then the day he left, guess what? She cubs back. Awful. But in the meantime, he had incredible sightings of leopards, lions, brown hyena, all sorts of other unbelievable things. And yes, he was disappointed, but he's seasoned enough to understand that's the way it is, and to really appreciate that he had other incredible sightings. But you can't plan what nature's going to throw at you.
Definitely not. Definitely not. Janet, I think that brings us, unless you've got any more pictures, that brings us to the end of December, the end of the Janet Kleyn masterclasses on hide and photographic vehicle photography. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. Thank you so much for sharing your images with us. You can find Janet's pictures. You can find her photograph as well, I'm sure, on her Instagram page, Janet Kleyn, K-L-E-Y-N. Janet, I wish you a relaxed new year and then a really, really busy 2021. And thank you so much for being part of In Conversation With.
Thank you, David. I've had lots of fun. Always great chatting with you. And yes, I'm hoping for you and your listeners, we all have a very busy 2021.
Ho, ho, ho.